Good morning. I'd like to talk about grief this morning and about how time is a factor in finding peace in a grief situation. When my older brother passed away, I found that it was a very intense situation. Unfortunately, he was a hoarder who'd created quite a lot of havoc at my mum's house where he'd been living. And so I lived with her for a couple of months. I was the executor of his estate to sort out, get rid of basically all of the things. And it was hot and dirty, the middle of summer, dusty, just yuck work that I did for like 8 hours a day for weeks and weeks. His bedroom took a couple of weeks. I can't even go into it. But at first I was in denial because my mum and I would sort of convene for a morning coffee for me, tea for her, and she would sort of say, are you feeling it yet? And I would be like, no. I just keep looking at his bedroom door expecting it to open and him to come out and have a coffee with us like he would do every other time I visited there to my family home. So while denial played a big part in that grief process, the business of actually having to clear out his room meant that I got angry, and so I would cuss quietly under my voice so that Mum couldn't hear me through the closed door, and just be so furious that he'd left such a mess for me to clean up, which was completely inappropriate. I still adore my older brother despite his unfortunate hoarding. And however, that anger, which even in the moment I recognised as a component of grief, it helped me, it pushed me through. Unfortunately, when my mum died 7 months later, despite our very best efforts to help her with her grief, when she passed away, I was just in shock. She had a fall and died within 24 hours. It was so unexpected. I didn't even get to see her. So I couldn't quite believe that it had happened. And I was in mid-trauma with another family member's terrible situation I was helping them with. And, my partner had just had an operation for cancer and there was so much going on. I had no time. To go through any of that process. And so it took many years later for me to even be able to unpack things that I'd kept of Mum's, like her teapot and little tea cozy and special cup and saucer, and on the advice of a psychologist to have a tea party, which I couldn't do alone. But when my son and his wife came up to visit me, we had a little tea party and we talked about Mum and how much we missed her and funny little things from her life. And it was so healing, but it was years after she'd passed. And I guess what I want to say is that you can't, you can't rush these things. That if you want to find peace out of grief, you need to let time do its work. And what I mean by that is to give you distance. You to be honest with you, I don't think you ever get over your grief when you lose someone who you adore. But time gives you distance and perspective. And, one grief is not like another. Even, for the same person, I'm the same person going through grief for two people I love. I just want to let you know that if you're looking to find peace in your life and you're coping with grief, give yourself the blessing of time. Don't rush. don't push yourself to, if I'd pushed myself to have that tea ceremony earlier, it would have been a disaster. I had to be ready. And, as you can see about me getting checked up, I still can't talk about my mum without feeling that strong emotion. And maybe it'll always be like that. But that's okay. That's loving deeply. Means that you grieve deeply, that it's a simple equation and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Don't let doctors tell you that you need medication. Honour your grief. Let it take its own time and look to find peace through the journey. If you have friends you can talk to about it, or other family members, that's great. But within yourself, give yourself the time to grieve. And I promise you, if you do that, you will find peace. I hope this helps, and thank you so much for listening.